Welcome to Brother Owl's Garden. I'm Brian, and I honor your presence here today. Ramana Maharshi said a quote that really got my attention recently because, when you've got something in your thoughts, in your private, meditations and contemplations, and then you start to get like little signs, things that resonate and connect exactly with what you're facing and dealing with. Well, this quote was one of them, and it's a very simple quote, but profound, which is usually the case. And he said, "Your duty is to be and not to be this or that." Matching that same topic, that same contemplation, are two quotes that I have from Thomas Merton, the Trappist monk. He said, "For me, to be a saint means to be myself. Therefore, the problem of sanctity and salvation is in fact the problem of finding out who I am and of discovering my true self." Now, although I love Thomas Merton very much, and I wish that I could have known him, I would have had a great friend in him. I'm gonna interpret his words and sort of present them in my own understanding. When he says, "For me to be a saint means to be myself," what I understand he's saying is, for me to realize my highest potentiality as a being, I only need come back around to and abide in who I already am. And he says, therefore, the problem of sanctity and salvation is in fact the problem of finding out who I am and of discovering my true self. I'm going to reword that according to my own understanding again and say, therefore, these matters of self-purification and redeeming myself from this awful version of a being that I am into, a transcendent one, is all connected to and related to and resolved in returning to my true self consciously, being aware of who I am and just being that awaredly. Awarely, I don't know what the right word would be for that. So his terminology is coming from a certain understanding that is a little bit different than mine. Definitely very Christian terminology as well, but he is saying the same thing that Ramana Maharshi has said. He's just, as we all do, he's said it from his understanding, from his perspective. Here's the other quote, which I like even better, from Thomas Merton. "Finally, I am coming to the conclusion that my highest ambition is to be what I already am, that I will never fulfill my obligation to surpass myself unless I first accept myself. And if I accept myself fully in the right way, I will have already surpassed myself." So I'm going to present this again in my own interpretation, my own rewording. He's arriving at the realization that all of his ambitions to become someone and become this or that thing that he has established is a requirement for him to be okay with himself, or to be good enough, or to be worthy, or to be complete. Instead of all that, he's coming full circle to the realization that he just needs to be who he already is, as T.S. Eliot said, to travel ceaselessly until we return to where we started from, seeing it for the first time. So coming full circle in that whole process of, trying to become this or that, brings out the realization that, oh, actually, I just need to be what I am. How about that? And we think animals are beneath us. What animal have you ever met that tries to be something? And what human have you ever met that doesn't? The second part of his quote that I will never fulfill my obligation to surpass myself. Okay, I'm going to cut that one up. I think that that is very heavily rooted in some, what my friend Rick would say, perfect pictures that he may have been working out of, or may have been coming from in his past, about who he thought he should be. My obligation, you must. This obligation to surpass myself. You must be something better and other than what you are. I'm not condemning him. I'm just saying that language tells me that he came from that kind of a conditioning in life, which so many of us, most of us have. To surpass myself, unless I first accept myself. Now you're getting somewhere. First accept yourself, warts, dents, and all. In other words, as you are, imperfect, flawed being that you are. Surprise, who isn't? And he's saying that if he accepted himself fully in the right way, I think meaning from the right mindset, then he will have already surpassed himself. In other words, the whole construct and projection of I need to be something more, better, higher than I am, and then I'll be okay. That whole thing will have been nullified, and he will have come back around to who he is. And that is transcendent. Not that he became something better or other, but that he returned back in full awareness and appreciation, acceptance, and love of who he is. And that is transfiguring. And that's what I'm working on in myself right now too. I'll tell you, it's a precious gift to have someone in your life who asks the right questions when being fully present to you. If you have someone who is fully present to you in the first place, that person is a priceless gift to you. If that person who is fully present to you also knows or has an instinct or an intuition to ask the right questions, that's exponentially even better. My friend, my brother Bob, helped me through a crucial and transformative process of my life that I was going through once, by simply being fully present to me and asking, not even thinking he knows and waiting to see if I get the answer right. No, presenting the question to me, which was like a dissolving agent or an untangling agent within me that helped me work through and work out and go beyond, transcend the struggles that I was experiencing. And he did it by simply channeling the right questions to me. He didn't tell me what to think or give me answers or say, no, that's not right, you need to go do this. He didn't do that. And another time that happened was with my friend Rick. We were sitting out by the campfire a couple months ago. And, I'm admitting to you that I've been struggling with this on a personal level. And I said, I'm absolutely exhausted and broken. I'm wrecked. I'm absolutely depleted and very frustrated. And I'm at a loss of what to do. And he turned to me and he said, why are you exhausted? And it was that simple. And I could tell that he asked it as an instrumental question, much like I just said Bob did. He wasn't asking me intellectually to provide him with an answer. He was just placing that into the quantum soup that was revealing itself in me right there. And he said, why are you exhausted? And I said, I'll tell you why I'm exhausted. I am exhausted from having continuously struggled and suffered and strived and worked so hard to become some ideal that I believe somehow I am supposed to be, instead of remaining the person that I actually am, who I guess I've never truly fully accepted yet. And then there was this break and this beautiful silence and a smile that followed it. Light. It doesn't mean, I'm definitely not telling you that I have mastered this. I have not mastered anything. In full disclosure, I am a complete mess. I'm an absolute fool. No claims on this end. There's no Sadhguru here. Okay. None of that is going on here at Brother Owl's Garden. I can tell you that. This is a place where we discuss deep, meaningful, and hopefully practical spiritual topics that I hope help even just a few people, if not many, in ways that they are aware of, and possibly in many ways that they are not aware of now and further down the road someday. But when Rick said to me, "Why are you exhausted?" Boom! It popped out. I'm exhausted from the struggle of trying to be some idealistic notion of who I think I'm supposed to be or what I think I'm supposed to be, because then I'll be good enough. Then I'll be worthy. Then I'll be complete. If I just achieve this, attain this, become that. And on the other side of that same coin is, instead of this mess that I am, that I haven't accepted. So in reflecting upon Ramana Maharshi's quote and Thomas Merton's 2 quotes, and kind of reflecting that upon my own experience that I've just shared with you, I've reached a point in my life, and perhaps you are somewhere close or beyond or approaching this in your own life, where I'm kind of tired of it all. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of chasing after some projected ideal of what I think I should be, which is preceded by an inherent belief that I am not, or I believe that I am not in the first place who I should be. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not complete. I still lack this or that. I'm not good enough at this or that. I still haven't overcome this or that. I'm not as good as so-and-so, whatever, all that mess, okay? If you're projecting an ideal that you believe you're supposed to become, that is presupposed by the belief that you believe that you are inadequate, unworthy, incomplete, etc., undeserving, all those words. So, of course, that exhausts me. Wouldn't it exhaust you? Does it exhaust you? And of course, not to speak rudely, but of course it makes you pissed off, sometimes or frequently to be in that cycle of, I can't accept this mess that I am. I have to be this. And in between is this incredibly exhausting and depleting and futile struggle. None of it seems to really work. Well, you're grasping at a phantom in the first place, a phantom that is rooted in already not seeing yourself and not accepting yourself. And this very destructive and exhausting and depleting and false belief that I need to be other, I need to be more, I need to be better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm not saying don't do self-improvement, don't try to be a better person, don't try to do less vice and more virtue. I'm not saying that. Of course, do that, but what I'm saying is, as Thomas Merton alluded to, I wonder if when we come back home to ourselves, truly, fully, naked, raw, and ugly, whatever it is kind of thing, imperfect, flawed, yada, 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 come back home to that, accept it, welcome it, and love it, and return to being it. I think that then we have resolved our being. And then we're truly back in harmony with our divinity. We are, as I like to say, attuned to the Tao. We are back in alignment with who we actually are. And who we actually are, I'm not talking about things we do or things we be, but what we are is divine and perfect as it is. Right as we are, where we are, the way we are, is already divine. We forget it, we lose sight of it, we judge it, we reject it, we refuse it, we push it away, we deny it, all those things. And then we project onto this higher level something other. If I can only just be that. And some of the most scrupulous people that I've ever encountered are the worst. What I mean is they are the most enslaved to that mentality that you could ever imagine. And by the way, it's futile. They won't resolve it. They're not going to work that out by continuing down that path. There comes a point where you go so far down that path that you realize it's not the path. And then you realize there isn't a path. You never needed to go out and seek for yourself and seek for attainment and achievement and acquiring of this, that, or the other hierarchical titles of consciousness and being and et cetera, which are a general turnoff in the first place. But anyway, what I'm dealing with is this, just to wrap it up, is this realization, at least that I suspect, because I am not claiming to have mastered this and I'm not through with it yet. But what I think I'm on the cusp of reaching, meaning realizing, stepping fully into, is that it's all about returning back to the full and conscious realization of who I am, in loving welcome, embracing acceptance, which will be the resolution and peace and fullness that I mistakenly set off on a journey to seek outside of myself. The first mistake is thinking that you are not already it. And then the second mistake is to seek it outside of yourself, in another person, in a lover, in praise, approval, validation, likes, all of that cesspool of ego. And you, for a long time, may not have any idea that you're setting off on the wrong direction, innocently and ignorantly. Not condemning, I'm just saying it's not going to give you what you're seeking. Seek nothing outside of yourself. And seek nothing outside of your self. We all are emanations or expressions, as I've said many times, of divinity. This one just happens to be Brian, and that one just happens to be you, as an emanation and an expression of absolute divine source, divinity, Godhead, Atman, Brahman, the all. So, it's kind of like one illusion fosters another one, which branches off and leads to another one and another one. And no wonder we get tangled. No wonder we get exasperated. No wonder we get lost. No wonder we get depleted. And so perhaps not because it is the goal, but perhaps it is an afterthought or an after effect, but perhaps it is indeed in coming full circle back home to you as you are, who you are, that we then realize transcendence, peace, resolution, maybe even transfiguration. By accepting this flawed mess, as it were, that we actually are being. And then suddenly we fall comfortably back into abiding in the actuality of who we really are. The I am. So I close today's episode by offering you a question as a sort of a seed to plant in your consciousness. And it is this: what would happen if you completely, fully, and truly accepted, understood, welcomed, loved, and abided in being who you actually are, as you actually are? What would happen if you returned full circle back to you, as if for the first time, with new eyes, new appreciation, new understanding, new peace? Instead of making a list of things you have to change about yourself, things that are wrong, that need fixing, things that you ought to be, should be, need to be, better be. Instead of all that, what if you changed the way you see you by dropping those illusions like a blurry pair of glasses that don't work? Drop them, shed them off of you, and see yourself through the eyes of divinity, and realize the perfection of your apparent imperfection. That you are, as you are, perfect.